All right, welcome back. And first off, we did want to wish a belated Happy Mother's Day to all of you moms out there. I have no doubt that our mom is probably listening to this episode.
She
my
is.
wife. Yeah. So we just really appreciate all that you guys do. And it's just pretty incredible the support you guys have for not just being a mom, but also a wife. And we just really appreciate you guys. So as far as getting into some news for this week, the first one is from Disney, and they have actually announced that they have plans to unify Hulu into one app with Disney Plus, basically kind of streamlining their content access. So, yeah, while they clearly noted that the twos will still be under separate subscriptions, unless, of course, you go for the bundle plan, it will help with having one less app to work with, something that I kind of felt like they should have been always doing since the beginning of Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Kind of just to entice more people to the Disney side of things from at least a Hulu viewer standpoint.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Feels like they should have done that a little while back, but better late than never, I suppose.
Yeah, I think, and the only minor drawback to that is that they will be raising their ad-free tier once that does go into place. So, just obviously, there's always money involved with transitions and changes. So, but yeah, like I said, outside of that, I feel like that's a good move on their end.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, speaking of online providers, YouTube TV has hit 6.3 million subscribers. And while this isn't necessarily major news, it is indicative of another crazy thought, and that is the fall of cable TV. Satellite and cable TV have hit an all-time 30-year low. There's been a 10% loss for cable providers and a 13% for satellite providers.
Wow.
With that in mind, online providers have become more and more prevalent, with YouTube sitting as the number one online service. Even live TV services are not doing well. According to 9to5 Google, Hulu with live TV reportedly lost 100,000 subscribers in Q1 of this year, while Sling TV lost 200,000 and Fubo TV lost 160,000. So it's pretty incredible, honestly. And I figured this was going to happen ever since YouTube TV came out. I think it was like in 2016. I'm not sure exactly, but what are your thoughts on that, JD?
I mean, it's not really too much of a surprise that they're kind of at the head of everything when it comes to subscriptions on live TV. I've actually tried quite a few of them. Like you said, Hulu TV, I've tried Fubo, and I mean, I like what they have. The fact that I have Hulu, would make it obvious that, I'd stick with Hulu TV. But I actually tried out YouTube TV, and I really do like their layout, just their interface, and things are pretty simple.
Yeah.
So I feel like they've done a good job with it, and they have been around for quite a few years now. So, I think the acquisition of the Sunday ticket deal with the NFL kind of will help with that, just because more and more people will cater towards that sports avenue. But I mean, not everyone is going to go to football, but I'm sure there's other sports out there that people prefer. But yeah,
for sure.
Going to the opposite side of the court with Apple, we actually have reports from one of the more popular tech analysts out there, Jeff Poo, stating that he believes there is a concern with component complications that could delay the arrival of the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus. This is actually due to the 48 megapixel sensor that the base lineup is expected to adopt from last year's Pro model.
Okay. I did see that.
Yeah. So, for right now, it looks like we may still have those on time, but there could be a possible delay. He didn't actually say this in the article, and I'm not sure if that's what he's thinking, but it could even mean that they may just skip the 48 megapixel adoption this year and save it for next year's base 16s. So that's just speculation on my part, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily terrible when you think about it, since the devices do have to differ somewhat in terms of quality and use and, that kind of stuff. So while I'm not too upset about it, it is a little disappointing that we won't be getting that at least this year, but I kind of understand.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of see the trickle effect of, last year's iPhone 14 Pros, are starting to have an effect on this year's iPhone 15s. and I'm sure this year's 15 Pros are going to have an effect on next year's
16s. Yeah,
that
makes
it's
sense.
kind of just how they're doing things, and I mean, like you said, I don't think it's necessarily a crucial thing. I do believe that these sensors help out and make a difference on some level. However, I feel like a lot of it has been I feel like a lot of this has been overshadowed by Apple's issue with the post-image processing that's been going on.
Yeah,
and I feel like that's something that really needs to be addressed long before they think about adjusting the sensors on this year or even next year's iPhones. So we've seen a lot of people complain about that online, and so I feel like that's a major drawback on this. So
yeah, I would say that needs to be the first thing they fix before they even release that on the base models to have 48 megapixels. But yeah, that's just me. But
I mean, and we've talked about that too, just with the major companies out there, Samsung, Google, Apple, just having that ability to work with the software and using the chips inside to better enhance the photography. But I think Apple's been doing a little bit of some odd things lately that a lot of people are not big fans of. So
yeah, totally agree with you right there. Staying on topic with Apple, they're now giving users a 1-month free trial for an MLS season pass. You can start this trial anytime before October 31st, and once the subscription is up, subscribers will pay the normal amount of $14.99, or if you have TV Plus, it will be only $12.99 per month unless you otherwise cancel. I'm not a huge soccer fan, actually. I don't know about you, but
there's another sport right there. Yeah,
there's another sport.
For those who don't like football, there you go. You got football.
Football, yeah. There's a whole lot of people around the world, especially when it comes to FIFA, that are just super into it. I mean, personally, I'm more of a football type guy, and I even enjoy a little bit of baseball here and there. But
yeah.
So
yeah, that's good. I mean, that's not a week. That's a whole month, right?
Yeah. One whole month.
Wow, that's pretty good. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know how many games are in a month, but
yeah, I don't know a whole lot about soccer regardless, but I don't want to sound like I know everything about it regardless, but yeah.
Yeah, we have our limitations on knowledge. So I do know a lot of friends and family that follow soccer. I can't quite get into it. I've got too many other things going on. So one more professional sport gets thrown in there, and it's just not worth it to me. So
yeah, hard to keep track when you're watching them all a lot, but we'll move right along to deals here, and the first one is the Anchor 525 charging station. Just for specs and stuff real quick, it has 2 USB-C ports, 2 USB ports, and 3 house plugs on the back of it. This deal is on Amazon, and you can get it for $50 from its original price of $66, making it a 25% discount. Side note, I actually got this from my wife just this last week, and she really loves it. She has an iPad, a watch, and an iPhone, and it gets difficult charging each device one at a time.
Yeah.
So this really cuts out a lot of time, especially when this device actually charges at 65 watts. So you're getting all those in one bundle and only for $50. So that's a pretty good deal right there.
Yeah, that is pretty impressive. I mean, the fact that, obviously each device has its own limit, but at least you're going to get the maximum amount of charging speed on them. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. In the middle here, we have the JBL Extreme 2s. They're seeing a massive discount of $250 down from $430. So
wow.
You can get those for $150, almost nearly 60% savings there. So pretty impressive.
That is, goodness. And another big deal here, we mentioned the Watch Ultra and how it had some discounts, I think it was a couple of weeks ago. But now the Watch Ultra with the Yellow Ocean Band has a whopping $98 discount coming in at $702. This making it the lowest price for any Watch Ultra, and normally those things are about $800. So yeah, that's pretty solid right there. If you've been looking in the market to get one and you've just been waiting for that low cut price, this is probably your best count. And obviously you can get a different watch band after you buy that one, but
okay, so that's band specific right there for that deal.
It is. I did check on the other band options, and it looked like it was only this one as far as I'm aware. So just keep that in mind for you viewers who are listening in.
Yeah, so getting back into the final piece of news, though, the EU has approved the $69 billion merger between Activision and Microsoft. So far, this has actually been the only positive news that the two companies have received, considering we've recently relayed to you guys about the CMA decision that they made with blocking the acquisition, as well as, FTC's negative voice on the matter this past winter. So,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say that although this gives some hope for the big gaming giant, even if Microsoft manages to wheedle its way past the FTC in hopes for a reversal on the matter, it still has to win that appeal over in Britain with the CMA. So I just feel like that's almost a virtual impossibility right there. And it's very likely that if either one does stay within their original decision, that this deal probably will not go through. So,
yeah, I kind of agree with you right there. Just they already are a major company, and when you have companies that gather around a lot more of other businesses, they grow exponentially, if you will.
Yeah,
and I love Microsoft. I love the games that they have and that provide. I'm a big fan of the Xbox and stuff like that. But kind of like how we were talking about last time, I'm kind of on the fence, but mostly towards I hope this really doesn't go through, because I feel like they should be their own separate entities. But that's just my personal opinion.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, we've seen companies do that where it hasn't been majorly unfair. Like, with Google, they had YouTube. They acquired them back in the day.
Right.
Facebook, they had Instagram. So like there was like little things, and I feel like even though Instagram was a little bit more, at a good peak versus YouTube back in the beginning, this is definitely a major disadvantage, because I feel like Activision is a full-fledged, full-throttle company right there. So,
yeah, absolutely. In a past episode, we had mentioned that Apple would be releasing the M3 chipset next year,
Yep.
And rumors actually indicated that they will be doing that with the Macs, mainly like the iMacs, I believe. But now we have some information that by the end of this year, the next MacBook lineup will have the M3 chips in it. The chipset will be made using a 3nm fabrication process. The reason why I mention that is because another source actually confirms this, saying that Apple had already booked nearly 90% of TSMC's 3nm production capacity for this year.
So
that provides a little bit of evidence for this possible rumor here to be true. I'd already mentioned the predicted benchmarks on that episode, and while it was a little bit crazy because I did loads of math and JD was kind of iffy about it, I went into a lot of detail. It's not exactly what we might think, but that episode is there for you guys to listen to. For sure, the chipset will be on top of the game for Apple and their ecosystem.
Yeah, they seem to be definitely, class leading in many aspects. Not so much, I don't feel like gaming necessarily, but they definitely have a lot of horsepower to them. Yeah. So that's now that you said that's just for the pros this fall, is that what's going on? Because I know we're getting the 15-inch MacBook Air with the M2, so they're going to actually start getting the M3s out this fall. Is that what that's saying?
Yeah. So according to the article, it seems that there will be another Air released by the end of this year, possibly, along with the normal MacBook Pro. And then I think there was another one, I can't remember.
Oh, was it an iMac?
Well, I think the article mentioned that the iMac will be for next year. That will have the M3 chip in next year.
So are they staggering that release then, as far as, because it sounds like the lower screen size is actually going to get the M3 in the fall?
That's what the article seems to indicate. It's kind of worded a little bit weird. But
I know.
At least from how I was able to perceive the information, that's how it seemed. But if you guys are a little bit confused in that, you can check out the article. We'll leave it in the link down in the description. So
that's kind of odd, because I don't really think Apple would stagger their chip updates based on screen sizes. So if, as far as tiers, that makes sense, because you have you used to have the original MacBook, then you got the MacBook Air, and then the MacBook Pro. But typically all the screen sizes within those tiers would actually get the upgraded chips. But to actually have the 15-inch get the M2, and then the smaller screen get the M3 later in the fall, that's a little bit interesting. So we'll definitely have to see how that unfolds.
Yeah, for sure.
But after talking about this at length for the past few months, the wait is finally over. Virtually all the rumors have come to fruition, and really the only thing left is the final opinions on what we have seen take place at Google I/O.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, clearly we've reviewed what all three models are expected to have and all the specs that entail them, so obviously we won't bore you with that.
No.
Since they pretty much all came true. But we'll kind of recap what caught our eye, maybe what caught us off guard, maybe a little bit of what we didn't like, which I'm sure there's some in there. I think the one thing to start off with that definitely caught my eye was the Pixel tab, and the fact that that was probably one of the only rumors that didn't come true, and it was in a good way. It was $100 cheaper.
Yeah.
So I think we had it pegged at $600, and it came in at $499. So and on top of that, they even bundled the speaker dock. So I was like, that was probably one of the most impressive releases that I think they had at Google I/O.
Which was something actually that we kind of mentioned that possibly they were going to leave them separate.
Yes, that's right.
So I'm really glad that both those rumors didn't come to fruition and that we got those two bundled together for $500. I mean, you can't really get any better than that. And I think Pixel has been really good about keeping their prices fairly low, at least for their main products.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Yeah, and I think, that's going to get a lot of mainstream news and reviews. You're going to probably see that pegged up against the Samsung tabs, the iPads, probably even OnePluses, I'm sure. So
yeah,
like you said, I feel like that price is definitely very competitive. If you were to put it up against Apple, Apple does start, I think, $50 cheaper, but they also only have a base storage of 64 gigs versus 128 on the Pixel tab. They have
true.
half the RAM, so instead of 8, you're getting 4, and then Google, like we said, is including the speaker dock. So I mean, it really is quite an amazing bundle right there. I'm not sure if that's going to be like for the length of its existence, or if that's just a introductory promo kind of bundle deal. But for now, that's really what they're going for. And that price was true as far as the speaker dock. So it was $130, but you can grab that with the bundle of the Pixel tab.
Yeah, there were actually a couple things, though, that I was kind of put off by this. The first one is mainly having the super large bezels on the display. I know it's a first for Pixel, but I feel like they had the technology by now where they've basically copied off a Pixel to make it a bigger tablet, that they would have been able to do that. I'll give them a little bit of slack, I guess, since it is their first pad, but it just seemed a little bit off to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you, not to compare it once again to the iPad, but I mean, they do have some thick bezels around. Even like my iPad Air, for example, they have some thick bezels, and I feel like that's actually good for, everyday use where you're not getting accidental touches. So I guess as long as it's not going like crazy thick, hopefully that should, suffice for most people. I think the ratio is pretty good though. It looked like it was consistent all around the actual border. So
it wasn't too bad.
Like kind of off, then I would be, that's a horrible design.
Yeah, and the other thing was the case. The case looked okay. The only thing that really was weird to me was the stand. It wasn't even indented into the actual back of the case. It's just out there. And I feel like if I were to use that, the stand would be kind of a hindrance just when you're holding the case on the pad. And you can still utilize the dock, obviously, because it's made specifically for that as well. But for me, the case just seemed a little odd. But
yeah, I guess I didn't catch that part that it didn't have any indents on the back. But I mean, yeah, I can kind of see what you're talking about. I mean, in my mind, I guess I can see both sides where it kind of gives you some sort of something to hold on to or to put your finger on and grab, so that way it's not going to slip out. But yeah, I can see how some people would find that a little bit annoying.
And it's $80.
And yeah, that's right. It is $80. I saw that online. That's an insane. I don't know. It's probably just another. It's just another one of those Apple things where it's they make their money on accessories, so it's probably not too uncommon for big companies to charge outrageous prices for their cases.
Yeah, for real though.
But yeah, that's I wonder if that's just gonna be like a magnet thing where it kind of snaps on the closer to the back when it's folded up, or if it's like going to be a really firm, stiff.
Yeah, that's kind of what
spring.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, that'll be. Well, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how that tab comes out as far as when we review it and such. So, the one thing I actually didn't like was the price for the Fold. So $1,800. I mean, obviously that's what we were expecting from the rumors, but even when they came out from the rumors, I'm just not a fan of that. I mean, I get that it's right there with Samsung, but I mean, Samsung is constantly discounting their products, and I'm kind of hoping that Google kind of follows through with that.
Yeah.
You actually see them doing that with the Pixel Watch right now. Instead of $349, it's $299. So that's right on their website. So hopefully we can actually kind of see that get a discount here in the coming months. I actually saw a remark online about how people that complained about the iPhone 14 having a previous gen processor, and yet the Pixel Fold has a Tensor G2, which is going to be updated pretty soon here come fall when the 8 comes out. And then on top of that, the Tensor series isn't even really class leading in many aspects. So it's just, I don't know. I really wasn't a big fan of that pricing. I think the only thing it really did have going for it was, giving that Pixel Watch as a come on for the pre-order.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's a part of that edition as well. One other thing that I noticed, and maybe this was just my perception of how it looked on the video, but when the display was reflecting off of light, it looked pretty cheap. As far as I saw, it seemed low quality. Again, I might be mistaken, but that's kind of what I observed. I don't know if you saw that either, JD, but it was weird to me.
Yeah, actually, I did notice that. I wasn't sure if there was like a screen protector on there, but typically when you do like a promo video, you want to give it like its best look. So I'm betting that's probably something going on with the, glass protection or
How it's set.
Yeah. So that may be hard to say because I'm not sure how often you'll notice that depending on what the display brightness is going to be at. But definitely when you're hitting it straight on and the light's at it from an angle, I could kind of see that being an annoyance. We'll kind of have to see how that comes out with people reviewing it and if that becomes an issue. So I didn't really make too much note of that, but yeah, it's worth pointing out though. I definitely agree.
Yeah. One other thing we want to mention as well is AI. And just like last year, they really put out a lot of stuff with regards to AI. And it turned out for the best, I think. I believe that this time it was actually aimed at a wide range of individuals rather than just a few. Photographers, coders, emoji fans, wallpaper lovers, map users, messaging, you name it. And actually, the 3D map immersion, that was something that I found really cool because that's something that I've been looking forward to for quite a while now. And I mean, generally speaking, and there are plenty of additional discussions that we could have concerning the usage of AI, in the public and stuff. There are a lot of people that have concerns with that. I didn't even Google, but we could talk about that for a while, I'm sure. So, yeah. There
were definitely a lot of useful features. They, I feel like they really drove home the whole entire, taking responsible steps with AI.
Really, though.
But yeah, as far as the innovations that they've been making and kind of their response to ChatGPT, I think it's been pretty impressive. From composing emails to kind of even what we were talking about, photography, where you can create images out of like thin air, basically requesting it. So definitely really impressive. But yeah, you guys can check all the hardware that Google announced at I/O in the description, as well as they released a video entitled Google I/O in under 10 minutes, which I think is great for those that want to get like a bird's eye view of what took place. I think even other publishers actually made their own video of kind of compiling. I think CNET had one, and you saw one as well, didn't you?
Yeah, The Verge, they released an 18-minute version of it as well. So depending on if you want to see a little more thorough version, you can kind of check those out in the links in the description. So,
yeah. And I think the only other thing that I wanted to take note of was, as far as that whole entire Pixel Watch freebie, just pay attention because the GPS only model is eligible as a free gift as well. The LTE is also eligible. So that's an extra $50 that you can get. Because I think it's, what is that? $399 is what the LTE model sells for. Yeah. So it's like, you might as well just go for the LTE model if you really want it. They're not going to actually tack on an extra $50. That's just going to stay there as a freebie.
Yeah, that's good.
But outside of that, that was pretty much our recap on the Google I/O event. And that'll actually do it for this week's episode. We certainly hope you guys enjoyed it. And we will definitely be back next week with more news and rumors. This is JD and Riley signing off.
Peace out.